Okay, and we're on. So hello everyone, welcome to another Power BI Portugal meetup community. Today is our event number 47. My name is Pedro Reis, I'm your host, and today we'll have a session Self-AI in Power BI Desktop using R and Python, and we have Yitzhak David today coming from Israel to our user group to share with us. Hi Yitzhak, how are you today?
Hi everybody.
Really good to have you here, Yitzhak. So we're very excited. You know, we did a poll very recently in the group, and one of the most anticipated topics was about extending Power BI together with R and Python, and that's why we invited your session that you proposed to the group. So we're very interested to know about what you're going to share today. Before we start, just to share with everyone some of the other meetups that we'll have very soon. So we will have a session on the combining the power of Power BI with external tools by Miguel Felix. We will also have a session on Power BI in the banking industry with Francisco Candeias from Expand IT. We have a session on the governance of Power BI environment with OData, and a session on Power BI Data Marts with Denis Torres. So just some of the sessions that we'll have in the next couple of months in the group. Yitzhak, it's time to get to know you a little bit better, okay? So let me just first, for everyone to see the sessions that we have, let me just share the image.
And I suggest that other people will close the camera, yeah.
Yeah, please.
Because I see, okay.
Okay.
So is it control? Okay.
Sure. Okay. So guys, you have the list of the other meetups. Please register. We'll launch them 2 at a time in the next couple of weeks for the upcoming meetups. Let's start today with a meetup from Yitzhak. So Yitzhak, let's get it started and I'll share the control to you and we can start with your session.
Okay. Okay, everybody see the screen? You can see the screen?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Oh, okay, let's start. Welcome to Self-AI NLP, R and Python with SQL Server 22 ML services. And I will tell you as a bonus how to build data lake with not extra cost, with Polybase, with Power BI Desktop. So about myself, David Yitzhak, team leader of Big Data NoSQL Database, 3 degrees from Technion Israel of Institute, BS Information System, two second degrees, MBA, ME. I was Oracle ILG administrator in Israel, one of the global data IO platform administrator, and I have lecture all over the world. I have 24, already 25 years of experience with SQL Server, Oracle, Sybase, Progress, so MongoDB, Redis, Hadoop, Cloudera, and Spark. So this is in brief. This is my lecture all over the world. You can see it, a lot of lectures only in the last 2 years. You can see it here, a lot of lectures. So from Sesonites, I got top 3 of the most active speakers in the year 22. This is also a lecture in Malta with Denise, also a good friend. So let's start. What's the agenda? In the agenda, I will give you afterwards freely the PowerPoint and the demo, but we will learn how to use R and Python. How we will learn it? We'll learn how to build R custom visual with Power BI, bubble chart with ggplot. We'll learn how to insert data into table in SQL Server from Power BI. We will learn how to do string manipulation with Python. With Pythons, this is the demo. And I hope time permit will show you how to build your data lake on MongoDB, Redis, Postgres with Power BI and SQL Server. So I'm not a smart guy. I read a lot of books, and this is the smart people who wrote these books from Apex and PegUp. I only read these books and implemented them. So the books are more This is the books. Okay, you can see it here. This is books about R and Python. So let's start. First, you have to load the sample database for Microsoft. It's wide world importer and Adventure Works. You can download the database from this link for the demo or restore them to SQL Server. By the way, this is the course from which I learn machine learning in the Technion, supervised learning. This is the course, so it's also recommended. So let's talk about Power BI. Power BI is not limited to data visualization. Why? Because it's a VLOOKUP engine. What is VLOOKUP engines? It's analytic engines. It stores data efficiently for reporting and complex calculation. It uses Power Query. Power Query enable us to for data extraction and transformation engines, also used in SSIS and Excel. It also uses powerful language M. Power BI support DAX expressions for data analytic formula language. It's also we have a lot of interactive visualizations we can drag. We also have Power BI visuals. You can see it here from my side. Power Visuals from App Store. You can take the Power BI visuals and use them for visualizations in Power BI service or Power BI report server. So why should I use R and Python in Power BI? Why? Because R and Python are very popular and they come together. R is more older and Python is more younger, but R is for statisticians. Python R for programmer, and it's very easy language to learn. I will teach you Python and R very fast. You can create custom visualization very easy. You can perform string manipulation, which are not available in Power Query or DAX. You can use third-party data API with Power BI data models. You can apply data science to Power BI data model without the need of Power BI Premium. Why? Because there are a lot of packages in R and Python, thousands of packages for everything in the open community, and you can use them in your Power BI freely for everything you imagine and more. So you can do data loading, data transformation, data visualization with R and Pythons. So how do you use R and Python script with Power BI? First, you have a lot of connectors in Power BI, but if you use R and Python in Power BI, you should load the data. You can also do it with script in Python and R. First, you have to get the data window, and type script into the search here. If you type here script, you will show that you have R script and Python scripts. Two options. In the content of the tooltip, you will tell you that you should have local installation of Python and R. So after you click the R script or the Python script, you will have this box for Python and R, and here you can type your code, but here it's not convenient. So with our Python, you can do data transformation. How do you do it? First, you have to import your data with get data. Then you should click on transform data here in order to access Power Query data transformations. After your transformation step, you can add transformation step using R and Python. Here, you can see it here. And then you can type your code for data transformation with R and Python by clicking Run Python script or R script. You can do R and Python script with Power BI data visualizations. If you should import your data. Then you can select R script visualization or Python script visualization. Here, you can see it here. Drag it. You will have a placeholder here for the Python visual image or R Python visual. Now you can write your hot code in order to create your custom visualization in R on Python. You should enable script visuals after you drag it here before you write the R or Python script. So Power BI product relation with R and Python support. So you can see that you have Power BI Desktop and Power BI Desktop Report Server, which is the on-premise version of Power BI Service. Power BI Service is here. There is Power BI Embedded. You have your smartphone tablet and Power BI Report Server. So like this, On Power BI service, you can write R and Python. Power BI embedded? No. Power BI report server? No. Power BI desktop? You can write R and Python. Power BI desktop report server? No. So let's configure our environment, and you can see you can do it all on your PC. So the optimal way is to go to Azure and create a data science virtual machine. But if you want to do it without any cost, you can manually install the software on your desktop. First, you have to download and install SQL Server Management Studio for SQL Server, and automatically will install also Azure Data Studio, the latest edition. You should install Microsoft Power BI Desktop, or in my example, Microsoft Power BI Desktop optimized for Power BI Report Server. In my example, you should download the R. In my case, I downloaded the latest version with 4.2.2. It's R422 WinExe. Optional, you can download Microsoft R Open, but will not download. I tell you why afterwards. You should install Python with Windows installer. So I installed the latest version of Python. So it's 3.4.39.4exe. Then we should download RStudio Desktop, which is the open source edition and it's free. And it's now by POSIT, the company acquired RStudio. In this, you can use this tool to run R and Python. You don't have to know Anaconda and other tools. Only in RStudio you can run R and Python. One home for Python and R. You should install SQL 19 developer, but the better is in a way, fast way I show you is to install SQL 22 or 19 Linux Docker. Note that Windows Docker is not supported currently. So let's see. First, you download SSMS. If you install SSMS, the latest version, it will also install Azure Data Studio. Azure Data Studio is called Slom and source desktop tool in which you can write notebook, in which you can write notebook in Python and R. Yeah, by the way. So Azure Data Studio is also good for data scientists. It's automatically installed when you install SSMS. And then you should install Microsoft Power BI Desktop. In my example, I installed the optimized for Power BI report server. You can see it here. Here is the screenshot of the installations. So how do you configure R with Power BI? So we'll talk about available R engines. The R engine used by Power BI. How do you install R engines for visual? Okay. How to use the install an ID for ID and R. Quick start with R. How do you configure Power Desktop to work with R? So let's talk about it. First, what are the available R engine? The first one is base R. Theron Comprehensive R Archive Network. What is it? It is a network of web service of FTP service around the world, and they are identical, and then preserve the most and up-to-date version of R source code, an ecosystem of packages developed by community, along with our documentation. So the biggest advantage is that it's open source. There is active community. There is thousands of packages for everything you imagine, for every area. So you can see Siron project. You can download any package you want from here. But Microsoft, starting 4.16, Microsoft released its distribution of R, which is called Microsoft R Open. But in 21, Microsoft announced that MRO will be phased out. So it's important that application that depends on Microsoft MRO will switch to the Siron. If you remember, at the beginning, Microsoft acquired some New Zealand company who invented R with RevoScale and RevoScale PY. This is packages which enable R to open in comprehensive way. So these packages will be also open source and will be available on the Siron. So you should stop working with Microsoft R Open MRO and move to working with Siron. But Microsoft put its own distribution of Siron R packages like daily snapshots in what it's called Siron Microsoft, Siron Time Machine. Why? because what Microsoft do is take a daily snapshot of the entire repository of the C1, taking by checkpoint server at midnight.
Yitzhak, we lost your sound for a second. Yitzhak, I think you went on mute for a second.
Now you can hear me? Now you can hear me, I think.
Yes, it's back.
Yeah. Okay. You can see the present?
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, okay. So Microsoft take a daily snapshot of the packages, and it's called C-run time machines. So you can see there is C-run main side. It means that UTC take a snapshot. And why it's good? Because it's good because if you want a specific version, we can go to this C-run time machine. So what are the R engine used by Power BI? So Power BI is a service, software as a service. So it means that our engines and also Python are being installed on the cloud. So currently Power BI service use MRO 3.4.4 for R. You can go to this link and see it. So if your report contains R visuals and are shared on the Power BI service, there are limitations on the version of packages. So if you go, you can see it here. You can see that all our visual use this version. So if you're using MRO 3.4.4, you should use also the equivalent of C-run, which is R version 3.4.4 if you are using Power BI service. But if you do not need to share your personal report on desktop, you have no limitation because on your Power desktop, you can install the latest version of R without any limitation. But if you want to do data transformation in JSON with R, you can use the following technique with Power BI service, which is using on-premise. You can take a machine outside the Power BI service, which is called on-premise data gateway. On this enterprise or personal mode, you can install your machine with any version of R or Python for your data ingestion or transformation. If you go to link, you can see this architecture. So this is Power BI service. This is a cloud service. This is on-premise gateway machine. So, so how do you install R engine for our visual? Same as Power BI. So if you want to share your report containing R visual, your R code should work correctly on pre-installed machine with the same version of MRO, which is installed on the Power BI service. So if you go to this link, you see that the MRO version, you can see the limitation, the MRO versions. You can see that this is the version 3.4.4. So how to install this version? Very simple. We are going to the link of the C-run project, go to download for R for Windows, click base, and then previous releases, and then we get the release, which is exactly the same of the MRO and the Power BI service, which is .3434. You can see it here. So in my example, for personal use, I installed the latest version of R, which is 4.2.2. So here I run the R 4.2.2 WinExe, run as administrator, and I install it on my machine. You can see it here. And the directory is, you can see the directory, C program file R 4.2.2. So now I should download and install R desktop. It's very simple. You go and install the free edition, R Studio Desktop, run as administrator, and install. After I install R Studio, it will detect which R installation to use. In my case, I use the latest version. In my case, I tell him to use the machine default 64 version of R, which I have installed before. Okay, so this is auto-detected and recommended. So he detects that I have installed R 4.2.2 versions of R and will use it. Now, if you go to the R Studio, you can see it here. You can go to if you go to options and packages, you can tell him which is, if you are connected to the internet, you can tell him which repository to use. So you can see that I've told him to use the global, the primary CRM repository, which I've talked before. This is the CRM repository, but you can change it to any repository which is close to your country. If you are going to how you will run get option repo, you can see it here, and it will give you the current default availability of repository which we are using for our studio. You can see it here. So you can change also the engine to use with our studio. If you go to general, our session, our version, you can click it change, and you can change it, but it's not recommended. Use the version, the latest version you install here. Let's see here. So you can change the default library in our studio. Why? Because sometimes I want to install it the same place on the machine and copy it to a machine which is not connected to the internet. So how do you do it? Okay, you open RStudio as administrator, or if we install R, you are going to RGO, you can see it here, and simply write .libpath will show you the libraries. Then I take libpath here and do assignment to a variable which is called mypath. You can see it here. And then switch between the directories. So C, it's a vector, mypath2, mypath1, and switch them and put him into mypath. And then put again mypath into libpath and libpath. Thus, I change the default directory if I need. Again, if I need, where our packages will be installed and downloaded. Again, why it's good? Because if I want to install it in directory which is the same on all machine, and I want to copy them to disconnected computer, I can do it also for the menu. If I go here, install packages, and install the library and change it here, you can see it here. How do I see the default library? Or from here, or using the command libpath. So RStudio Desktop, this is RStudio Desktop. You can see it. This is RStudio Desktop. You can see it here. You can write the code here. For example, I write the code here and then push enter. You can change the code to R and Python. You can import dataset from here, and you should test your code in your IDE and verify the result before using in Power BI. So here you can see the default R version you use. You can see it here. So let's learn R. As if you are going to RStudio console, you simply open it, okay, and simply write 7. You open your R section in console. 7 minus 3, enter, and the result is 4. This is an automatic operation. Function in R, it's, for example, date. Date here, square, enter, and it is the date. If I want to operate a function, so help log, the function help on log, and you will see the result here. And let's learn simple objects in R. So create object with the assignment operator. This is assignment operator. You can see it here. So 82.95 assignment to 8. If you type 8, you will see the value here. To operate a function, to put an object as input to function, log 8. You can see it here. Enter, and this is the log of the 8. If you want to do, if you do the round function on the 8, so round 8 multiplied by 2.5. You can see it and 8 and the result. String, very simple. So this is a string with quotation here. Hello to string, and this is the result. You should know that objects are case sensitive in R. Okay, so this is very important. Now let's create a vector. So here we create a vector of temperature. C, open, and this is all the value of the temperatures. You can see it here. Input to temperature, enter, and this is the vector. If I want to know the length of the vector, length, temperature, 5. If you want the 40H member of the temperature, 45. If you want to apply the function exponent of each member, so X, temperature. So you will see X working on each member of the vector. You can see the result here, here. So Congratulations, you have learned how R is very simple. Now, if I go to R and I want to tell him which external RDA we want to use Power BI, so R editor is limited. So I should not use the Power BI editor for R and Python. So I'm going to File, Option, Setting, and Option. You can see it here. It will tell us it detects automatically the R I've installed and detect the R ID I'm using, RStudio. You can see it here. So R editor is limited. You can see it here. Therefore, I should use the R editor. How do you install packages? You should install packages once per computer. So how do you do it? You can do it from the RStudio, from the GUI, but from R, you want the follow command install.packages and the packages names. For example, install packages ggRPL and lib equal, and this is the password to install. If you want to install multiple packages, so C, this is a vector, and this is all the name of the packages I want to install, data table, D player, and assignment to packages, and then install packages, and here, the variable packages. Library, the function library, load the packages into memory for using scripts. So I should load the packages once per session of a running program. Okay, install per computer, load the library per session for running program. So how to install package from RStudio? Very simple. Open RStudio, tool install, and then I can install from CRAN, or I can tell you should install it from archive zip or RZZ. You can see it here. Why? Because I can go to the CRAN packages, download the packages to my computer, and then install it as a zip, tar, or gzip file here. So you can see it that I have installed packages using RStudio, and on the console here you will see all the installation of the packages. You can see it here. Why? Because here I tell you load library type verse, lib prompt, etc., are not available, so I have to install them. How to install them? In RStudio, install package, install from repository run, and I'll show the installation here. And you can see that all the packages are being installed using the RStudio. You can see it here. Again, library is to load the packages. If they are not reside on your machine, you will install them using the default options. So, for example, if I'm using Power BI and I saw the Power BI and I saw the message cannot display this visual, you can see it here. Click on see detail, it tells us ggplot is not available, table is not available, so you should install them. How do you install them? Again, you load the package like this, and you have this message error. So you can also in our session write the following: C, it's a vector, and this is the name of the packaging which are missing. Put them in a variable which is named package, and then install.packages, packages, and we install all the missing packages here. So here I can install all the packages in 2 lines. This is also an example how to install all the required packages and move to disconnect the computer. So this is another example, which is missing. In this case, if there is a problem with the package in Power BI, I can remove the package. Maybe the package is in a version which is not correct. For example, remove package tidyverse. You can see it here, and then install package tidyverse again. You can see it here. But you can ask me, how do you install a specific version of package? Why? Because for our visual, you can install any packages, including customer package. But for customer visual in our demo, you can install only public C-run packages in specific version in this link. So you can use a dev tool package to install, for example, the ggplot 3.3.3. So if you go to this link, you should use only ggplot 3.3.3. So how do you install the specific versions? Install packages, DevTool, install the DevTool packages, library DevTools, upload the package to the memory, and then install version, ggplot2 version 3.3, And this is the repository where I grab the package of this version. So this is the way I install a specific version of R. So you can see the limitation of create using Visual by R package in Power BI service in these links. Okay. You can see again, you are limited to 3.4.4 and the packages to these versions. So, so our visual limitations, very, very short. You can see it is linked. Our visual plotting only 150K rows. Our visuals is the size of 2 MB. Visual displayed at 72 dpi. Do not exceed. If you have, if it exceeds 5 minutes, you will have a timeout error. So to create reports in Power BI Desktop, you can do any of the following and install any kind of packages, custom. You can install you can install any packages. Okay. You can install only CRM package in your engine for custom R visuals. You can access the internet from both R visual and R custom visual in your Power BI Desktop, but in Power BI service for both R visual and custom R visual, you can use only C1 packages, and this is the link which allows with this limitation. You cannot access the internet from either R visual custom or custom R visuals. Our visuals are not allowed to be plugged to the web with the Power BI service. So to overcome this limit, you have the customer visuals to overcome this limitation. If you want to share a report that using R7 in Power BI, in Power BI service, I told you, you should use enterprise architecture to use R data transformators. It means that you should use gateways. You should refer to Power BI. So this is the architectures. I talked about it before. So let's configure Python with Power BI. What are available Python engines? Which Python engine I should use? Which IDE I should use? How should I configure? So let's through about it. So there are several distributions: standard Python, active Python, and Anaconda. For simplicity, in my case, I will do the original Python, which is the original version in these links, www.python.org. And then I will install the various community developed packages for project using Python package index. So it's pip. Pip, it's a package which enables you to install packages. Okay. So I will install Python from Python website. I will install the minimum package needed for transform or data visualize. Okay. So this is Panda. What is Panda? Panda is Python package that enable you to do fast, flexible, and expressive tabular multi-dimensional time data series. We'll see it example. Matplotlib, the plotting and graphic library. NumPy is the most widely used Python for working with arrays and function, linear algebra, and etc., and transformations. So Panda, Matplotlib, NumPy. So I will install standard Python and then use pip package to install Panda, Matplotlib, and NumPy. So you can see it example. I'm writing. You can also write your Python code and using Google Collaborate Notebook with GPU support. So this is an example where I can run Python in notebook of Google, where it supports GPU. So this is an example. I can write Python, but in our case, we'll install Python locally and use R and use RStudio IDE. So what's our Python engine used for Power BI? Python latest release is now, I think, 3.3.1. Power BI service use Python 3.7. So for Python's visuals, you can go to this link. So if you do not need to report for personal use on your desktop, you have no limitations. So on Power BI desktop, you can install whatever you want. But if the Power BI contain report visual and share with Power BI servers, you should install this version 3.77. In my example, I will install the latest versions. So Python script Power Query is to be installed on any machine of your choice outside the service. So the behavior of Power BI service is the same as R script. So if you want to use R Python for data transformations, you should install it on machine on-premise resource after the Power BI basis, and you can install any version of Python if you want to do data transformations with Python. With visuals, like if you are running on Power BI service, you install these versions. Same as R. Okay, you can see the limitation here. So how do you install Python? Very simple. I've downloaded Python, then run Python 3.9.4 exe and write it in this/script. The location is C Python 3.9. You can see it here. How to install the required packages? Open CMD as administrator. Remember, I talked about the pip. So I'm going to C Python 3.9 script pip exe. You can see it here. Pip exe, install Panda, install NumPy, install Metabolib. All these packages will be downloaded from the Python repository and will be installed on C Python 3.9 lib site packages. You can see all the packages here. By the way, you can copy all these packages to disconnected computer and use this library. So this is the way you download packages from Python organizations. So again, I'm using RStudio for R and Python. Of course, I can use Anaconda, etc., but I want to be simple, strange. I want to use one tool. So if you go to RStudio, you go into Tool Global Option and tell him, work with C Python 3.9 Python exe. You can see it here. And we can write a Python script. So file, new file, Python script. You can see it here. Import Panda Speedy. What is import? Import the library Panda and call it with a name, with a short name, which is PD. And here, this is a data frame data. I'll extend both to another clerk too. You can see it here. And then I convert it with PD. It's Panda. Do data frame mean take this and convert it to data frame with the column name on the edge, where edge is float. Print df mean print the data frame, and you can see the result here. So Python is very easy. You can see it here. So how to install SQL Server on Linux Engine on a container with 5 minutes. So first I have to install, of course, Docker Desktop. After I've installed Docker Desktop, I should run the following command: Docker PS mean show all running container. Docker stop, this is the name of the container, SQL Server 19 latest, means stop it. Docker RM SQL Server latest mean remove it. Docker volume less mean if there any volume for persistency, show it. Docker volume RM SQL volume mean remove it. And this is the magic. This is how I'm install SQL Server in 2 minutes. Docker run -c except ULA mean except license term, -e SA password, this is the password of SA, -memory, this is the memory allocated for the Docker, -p 1433 mean map the port of 1433 to 1433 of SQL Server, which is the default port. -name, this is SQL Server 19 letters, this is the name of the Docker. -hostname, this is the name of the hostname of the SQL Server. -mount source mean mount this var optmsql, this directory inside Linux container of SQL Server. -restart and let's stop mean every time you start the computer, the Docker will start automatically. -d mean means run in detached mode, and this is the version of the SQL Server I downloaded, which is the SQL Server 19 latest. Again, you can download also Docker 22 latest. So this is the commands. After that, you should run Docker PS mean Docker PS show all the running container, and Docker volume ls show the volume which the container used, and you can see it here. This is the way you install SQL Server in 2 minutes on your computer. You can see it here. You don't have to be DBAs. After you do it, you can take the copy of worldwide importer and copy to SQL Server container. How do you do it? You can see it here. Docker cp c backups worldwide importer full backup mean copy the file to, this is the name of the container SQL Server latest, and copy to this directory of our PTMSQL data. You can see it here. And then tell him change the permission of this file to MSSQL. MSSQL is the user under which SQL Server is running. So Docker exec mean do command. -u root mean it's connect to root. SQL Server latest is in a container. show on MSQL, change the permission to MSQL. VARPT MSQL data 111 mean change the permission, the owner of this file to MSSQL. And after you do it, you can open your SSMS, and from the GUI, you don't have to write command, connect to localhost SA password, go to the file you have copied to your container. You can see VARPT data water importer, and restore it. Right-clicked and restore it, and that's all. And you have SQL Server latest version installed on your computer to play with it. That's all, and it's free. So let's talk about ggplot. What is ggplot? ggplot is the most famous library in R. Why? It's quality data visualization out of the box. You can see it here in these links. The most popular charting library in R. Most sophisticated plot in R-based plotting system. There is translation available in all languages, including Spanish. Okay. There is huge user community and computer. You can see it here. There are a lot of extensions, ongoing improvement all the times. There is extension library. How to install it? Very simple. Install package ggplot2 and then library ggplot to load it. So let's first see demo. We are ready now. How do we create custom visual in Power BI? This is a recipe. This is the menu. If you take this menu, you can do any custom visual you want in your computer. So you should configure your Power BI environment. We see before. We see how we install our packages. We install I show you how we install R IDE, Power BI Desktop to detect the R version you have installed, and the R IDE. Install the required packages, we see before. We then should get in data and load data into Power BI. In our case, we create a filter slicer based on the year in the demo, the year. But you can do any filter slicer you want. You should drag a custom visual icon to Power BI and start your initial configuration. You should export data to RStudio for development and load the required packages, data source, and develop your R code. After you develop, you should add the R code to Power BI using the following guidance. So let's make it simple. I will show you how we can create bubble chart next, but you can try yourself forecast, maps, quote chart, and regression lines with R, and you don't have to write the code because there are already code which is ready. So if you use the example, you can do all this example very, very easy. So let's see. This is the bubble chart demo. You can see it here. So what is the bubble chart demo? A scatter plot with additional attribute and dimensions. So we add layer for point and factor variables. So data is taken from a fake basketball league. So this is the X, it's the weight. Okay. Y, it's the 8. The fill in the color, the bubble, the fill in the color is the region. You can see it here, the region. Okay, the region inside the color. Region, Africa, America, Asia, Europe. The color along the bubble is the Liga. So this is ABA, NBA Liga. The size, if the basket this player have, number of basket. The level is the name. So we have 3 continuous and 3 discrete variables. Okay. Why? Because we have weight, 8, and basket. This is continuous, and discrete, region, league, and name. 6. So this is our CSV file. You can see it here. ID, year, first name, last name, weight, 8, basket, region, leagues, and this is all the informations. Player battle CSV. First, I load the data in Power BI. File, get data, text CSV, player basket CSV. Very simple. You can see it here. Then I should go to each column name, column data type, and tell him this is the column name, this is the column data type, and tell him do not summarize. So column name, ID, year, first name, last name, weight, 8, basket, region, leagues. Column data type, wall number, text, wall number, or text, and do not summarize. Then I should drag the filter slicer on the year. You can see it here. You can see the year here. drag it, and select a start visual and drag to the canvas. So this is the year field and drag it into the slicer. You can see it here. And then I drag the R custom visual here, the R custom visual here to report canvas, and then drop. When I drag it, you ask us, do you want to enable script visual? I tell him, yes, enable. And then I should drop all the player basket here on the R visuals. If I drop here, you will have the code, you will have this code which will be created after you enable script visuals. So script editor in Power BI desktop. Dataset in Power BI is assigned to an object called which is data frame, which is named dataset. So in Power BI, when I drag these columns, it will create a data frame. Data frame is like a table, which is called a dataset. You can see it here. Data frame is a two-dimensional data set with special properties. You can see it here. So this is data set, this is data frame, and this is the column name. Power BI allow dataset which have unique room. Note, unique rows to be passed. How do you ensure it? By using the unique function. You can see it here. So after I drag it, I will not develop in Power BI. I click here, the 45 bar of the script editor. Data frame is exported to R, and I will start to code in R script editor, not in Power BI. You can see it here. I will save the file as R custom visual PBI bubble chart ggplot R and start develop. So I open the R Studio as administrator and add the following files for study bank. For CDW ER custom visual power ggplot mean go to this directory. And dataset read CSV mean read the CSV that are player basket CSV and do not check name. And this is how you read the file. So let's talk about the code. So first, dataset read CSV player basket CSV check name mean read the file. I told you that Power BI convert it to data frame, which is named dataset, and make it unique. But this is remarking. So first have to load package which is no Fiverr. What is Fiverr? It's a collection of open source or libraries to clean and structure and visualize data. It's very, very important packages. The easiest way to use dplyr and ggplot is to install and load the whole library Tidyverse. So remember, ggplot is the data visualization part. I told you about before. This is the link. dplyr is manipulation of data passed to R from Power BI. Okay, so you can see library Tidyverse, library ggRipple, library ggchamps. ggRipple automatically position now over the temps label with ggplot. We'll see it next. And ggtemps, this is the background. Change the display of non-data component to visual. So here I load these libraries. Library, Tidyverse, library, ggRipple, library, ggtemps, a dataset. So if I go here, I tell him, this is dataset. You can see the dataset, which is uploaded from the CSV file. Sort column name dataset mean sort alphabetically the column name in dataset and put it in sort columns. Now I'll create my own vector name for the required columns. So C create a vector, basket first name, 8 ID, last name, league, region, weight, year, and put it in Power BI columns. You can see it here. Now I have to check that what I get from the file is the same what I have expected. How do I do it? So is true all equal, and this is the source column, this is vector here, and Power BI column. Compare between this vector. And if it's, and put the result to column compare. True if the vector are the same, it means that I will accept the column in the file is the same like in this vector, and false if not. Now I have you to use unique function to get a list of unique years from the year column. So unique data set here mean put the unique years in slice here. Now I have to test the data. If the length of the slicer is vector is equal to 1, it means that I should here only select 1 year. And if the vector of the column name is from the file is the same as the column name as expected, so you can see it here. If length slash vector years is 1, it means you have selected only 1 year, and column compare is true. Column compare here, you can see it here. Then you can create the visuals. So you can see it here, our visual data. So you can see it here. If length slash year equal now and column compare is true, our visual data. So this is a syntax of ggplot. It's very unique syntax. So our visual data, where pipe, it means pipe an object forward into function or call expression. This is the syntax, how you pipe an object. So now it means take dataset, this data frame we've got, and pipe it too. And pipe it. Now create another column. What is the other column? Substring first name 1 mean take the fixed character of the column name first name and concatenate to last name. How do I concatenate it? With the function paste 0. You can see it here. This is like concatenate and put it in function name. and this is mutate deep layer mutate function, add a new variable function of existing variables. So now I create another variable which is called name and put it into the dataset. The name is the first name and the last name. You can see it there. Mutate is a package of deep layer. Now I want to play with the color. So now I'll create a vector of color. So region color C. Asia, this is the color. Africa, this is color. Africa and Europe. Liga color C vector. ABA, this is the color. So how do I create a color? It's very, very simple. You go to this site. As you can see it, www.excelcolor.com. You check the color you want, and here you will have the exe code of your code. So I can grab this exe code and put it here. And choose the column. So again, I have vector of region color and liga color from this site, execolortool.com. Now I want to create a chart title. So very, very simple. Our custom visual ggplot for /year. This is /years. I select. The separator is this. Paste again is like calculate, and the assignment is to chart title. Now I use ggplot function, except data frame object like x, y, z, etc., etc. You can see it here. So ggplot, it has own syntax. I concatenate with the plus sign. You can see it here. So x it's weight, y it's 8. Size of the bubble chart. The size of the bubble chart is the number of basket of the player. Fill inside the color is the region. Color is the border of the bubble, Liga. Label is the name. So you can see, yes, it's all the variable, the dimension. X weight, Y 8, size, baskets, color leagues, fill region, stroke 2. Stroke, it's mean control the size of the border. So you remember that we've created name before, we created name, the variable name before. Liga color is a vector of color. Region is a vector of color, the fill. And you can see it here. Scale color manual value, Liga color mean. Scale color value manual mean. Change the color of the bubble using predefined color by Liga color name character vector. So remember, we create this vector and put it in scale color manual. Scale fill manual values region color mean. Change the color of the bubble fill by region color name character vector we've created before. Notice here the sign plus here. And another trick I have to learn you that gem point shape 21 is the only shape that can define border color and fill. So I tell him gem point shape 21. If you go to this site, you will see all the shape and the number, and I choose 21. Geom text triple size 5 mean geom text triple geom tries to prevent overlapping when it's at labels. So this is the subject text, and it tries to prevent overlapping. GG title, chart title. It's added title to chart title by chart title. You can see it here, GG title. So this is title. Same view mean create a background, but in our case, this is an empty background. Else, if the condition does not exist, the plot will be empty and tell him no data support visualization. So if you choose more than 1 year, if the input file, the vector name is not the same like my vector, I accepted, no message, no file. So this is the result here. You can see it here, the result here. You can see the result here, and you see the result here. So if you go to the demo here, you can see it here. This is the result. The result, bubble chart demo. If I'm going to my RStudio, this is the code here. You can see it here. You can see the code here. Okay. So you can see it here. If you're going here, then you can see it here. Okay, so this is the code, this is the result. And this is the final result. Okay. And if you go to RScript editor, we'll see that the code is down here. Let's see another amazing thing. How to insert data into SQL Server from, so if you know to do a bubble chart, you can do any graph you want, and you can implement any basic AI to your graph with the result, with the existing packages. Let's see another amazing thing. How to insert data into table in SQL Server from Power BI. So why you should use it? Power BI is a report. Why should you insert data? Because we want to monitor the amount of data being loaded in data mart. So how do you do it? First, you create a DSN with ODBC to SQL Server database. So remember, we have installed SQL Server 2292 Linux on Docker. So first, you have to create your ODBC system DSN, SA and password. Of course, it's not secured, but for this example, we use insert and the password. Server.string go to your local host, test connection, and complete successfully. Now I'll create on individual wall ETL log table. So drop table if exists, create table ETL log, load date time, table name, now of records. This is the table we've created on the database. Now you should deploy our, let's develop our script in RStudio. After we create this, we will copy the R code into Power BI where get data. So our script is insert data into table in SQL Server from Power BI R. And we will have two data frames, df read and record insert. We'll rename df3 to DM account. We'll click close and apply to load the data into Power BI data model. This example shows you how you use R, not for visualization, for data transformation and ingesting data. If you remember, I told you that you can do it on machine, which is outside of your Power BI service. Remember, on your gateway, you can install any version of how you want for your data transformation. So library typeverse, library ODBC, it's mean. Library ODBC mean load ODBC library. So this is library we should use. Okay, 3 libraries. We assume that the table has been created before. Now, table name, DIM account. Again, you can put it any table you want. In this example, we use the dimension table DIM account. SQL query, paste 0 min concatenate, select star from DBO, table name, where table name is DIM account. So this is dynamic SQL string, which is put it to SQL query. Now we'll connect to SQL Server. ODBC con DSN SQL 20117, this is obviously well created. UID, this is a say. The user say, of course, it's not secure, but this is say, and this is a password. Now, SQL query channel con, it's mean query SQL query. Now it's mean create a query database with this query and put it to read DF data frame. You can see it, read DF. Okay. Note that if we have a very large table, we'll get the error of could not allocate memory. In this case, we will have to do packages that are more optimized. But if the number of the rows is not too much big, so we'll have this message. Now we want to count the number of the rows. So current date, now it's a function to tell us what is the date now, put it in current date. And row readf mean count the number of rows in this data frame and put it in number of the records. Now we'll convert it to list. So record insert, list, load date, current date, table name, number of record, number of records. All this information is put it in the record we want to insert into the logging table. You can see it here. You can see it here. And record insert as table. As table mean convert it to format of a table. Record insert into record insert. This is table. This is the this is an object to data frame or matrix into a so-called table, data frame with the class tbld data frame. You can see it here. Now we'll save it in database. SQL save channel con, this is the connection, that record, so this is the record we have created, table name ETL log, append to mean appended, row name mean do not create any new columns, and we should close the connections, or ODBC close connection. After, if not, we'll have an error. So after we do it, each time we run this report, and we do select from DB or ETL log, we'll see the number of rows which are currently in the table. You can see it here. So if you go here, you can see that you have read df, which is the table itself. Record itself, it's a table which was inserted. You can see load the table name, number of rows. You can see it here. Here we change to, we change the name of readdf to dim account, which is the name of the table. This is the table itself. And you can see it here. So if you want to see it, I show you that. So this is the way you insert data from Power BI reports into your database. Also, it's not supported, but you can do it with Python or R. Now let's start with very fast with Python. So why should we use Python? Python is very popular. It's younger than R, and it's more advanced for programmer, but it's very easy to program. Power Query support basic string processing and pattern matching, but it's great for simple manipulation. But R and Python help us advanced string manipulation and pattern like Power Query, because there are a lot of packages. So in our demo, I will show you how to mask sensitive data using Python in Power BI. We will mask the ID and the phone number. For example, if you want to negotiate with Microsoft Cognitive Services, we want to mask this more IDs. We can use already ready libraries, ready example to work with unstructured data like simple NLP techniques we can use with API calls for services like Microsoft Cognitive Services. We can count the number of words and sentences in text. We can remove expression in invalid format like address and names. And there's an endless example where I can use Python, and the libraries for NLP, AI, etc., etc. So let's start with the basic. We should install Python, we said before, install the required packages, enable the Python script in Power BI Desktop, select option, and select option Python script. You can see it here, Python scripting. We are using CPython, Python 3.9, and we are using RID. Again, we can use Anaconda, etc. It's very simple to use only one tool to negotiate with Python. So we are using RStudio Exe 2 as IDE for Python. We pretend the Python script. How do we prepare the Python script? In our IDE, after we create the script, we load it to Python script and we run our Python script and import the data. Get data, add the Python script. You can see it here. So let's see the example. So this is a Python script. We develop it in IDE. So we take the script, go to Python script and copy it from our IDE where we develop this Python script. So let's see how we develop it. So here are the scripts. You can see the result. This is the result before. This is the result after masking. So if you select OK, then scripts are successful, and you will see that You load the data, and the data is masked. So how do mask the data? First, so let's see it. Import panda as PD, it means import discrete string manipulation with Python py. So it's mean import panda PD as PD mean import panda a library and call it PD nickname. Import ARI. Import ARI mean import regular expression library. Import OS, import operating system library. This is how you do in Python. And then it's very simple. Def mask test, this is the function. The input is clear text. The first pattern, I will use the pattern of phone in Israel. Phone pattern, it's R0 to 9, and this 10. This means 10 number between 0 and 9. Of course, you can use the pattern in USA. So here you can see the pattern in USA for regular expression. It's available on the internet also if you search. ID pattern, I use the ID pattern Israel, which is 9 number. So RD9, this is 9 number. You can use also ID pattern in USA, so or Europe. So this example in USA, D3, D4. So this is the def mask function, clear text input, and here I declare two pattern I want to find in the text, phone pattern and ID pattern. This is the declaration. Now it's very, very simple. Why? Because clean text equal resub, mean go to regular expression library, sub. Font pattern, find all the font pattern in the clear text. And when you find the font pattern, simply put x6666 and put it in and put it in the variable clean text. So search in clear text the font pattern and put it x66. Then go to this clean text and now find the pattern of the ID pattern. So when you find the ID pattern, put it x666. So resub mean find the pattern and put it in. And after you do it, return clean text. And that's it. That is the functions. It's very, very simple. If you want to try it in DAX or other query, it's more complicated, but it's very simple. So if you are going to, so you can see it here, always change the go to this director, string manipulation with Python. DFPD read CSV mean customer feedback CSV, read the customer feedback CSV, you can see it here, and put it in data frame using the Panda library. Print df mean bring it before we do the masking. Df add mean display only 5 record. Df remarks apply message mean take this and apply it using the mask text function on this data frame. So you can see df remarks apply mask text. And then print df, and if you look here, you can see that all the data is selected. You can see that the phone number is masked and the ID is masked. You can see it. The ID is masked. x66. You can see it here. Customer feedback CSV, string manipulation, and string manipulation Python PBIPT. So you can see it here. You can see it here. And you can see the script, the Python script, which do this transform. You can see it here. And this is the result. You can see it here. Okay, I have more time, or because I have a lot of more materials?
I think we have about 5 minutes.
So let's
with
pass
Q&A.
very fast. Let's pass about another amazing material, but very, very fast. I will show you the example. Everybody tell you go to Azure Synapse, go to data lake, go to big data, and you should pay for how to make data lake. But when you're using SQL Server 92 or 22 Polybase, it's very simple to make a data lake with Power BI. So if you have installed Azure Data Studio, you have data virtualization here. Data virtualization enables you to virtualize other sources of data without other sources. So you can connect to any source of data you want, any source of data you want. So what is Polybase? Polybase enables you to query any data source only with transactors. You don't have to be technicals. You have to install Polybase on your SQL server, and then you do it very optimistic. You go to it's natively support. You don't have to install client Oracle, MongoDB, because if you install Polybase on your SQL server, it's already support on national database like Microsoft SQL Server, Oracle, Teradata. You can query them with SQL Server. You don't have to know Oracle and Cloudera and NoSQL database like MongoDB and Cosmos DB. But if you want to query other sources, you can buy a driver of ODBC, for example, from this company of CData, install it off SQL Server and tell him, connect to these data sources. So how do you do it? If you're using Polybase, it's like a simple table of SQL Server, and you can match the permission. It's not like DB link. It's more secure. So you don't have to know the technologies. You can query only with TSQL. You don't have to do ETLs. You don't have to move the data because data stay there. It's called data virtualizations. So no boundaries, no geographic boundaries, no technology boundaries. So how do you do it? You have to create database scope connector, which is username and password, which is secret key. External data source, this is location, the location of the credential. External table, this is the object in the data source you want to map to your SQL server. And external file format, if it's a file. So in this example, we have Oracle latest 1.9 with HR schema. And I'm going to Azure Data Studio, assuming that you have SQL Server with Polybase. So tell him, you don't have to install nothing. Going to Oracle here and tell him this is my database master key. This is the Oracle and the port and the Oracle seed. You can see it here. Or the external table. And then you select the table. And you can see that the code is creating automatically. You can see it here. And you can see that HR employee in Oracle is appear in your SQL server like a regular table. You can query with SQL. And you can query with from SSMS Oracle. You can see it here. Now we can interact with MongoDB. So we are going to our MongoDB and tell him this is the MongoDB, this is the port, this is the external data source, the name, this is the MongoDB in the port, this is database name in MongoDB. And you can see that I selected several collections in MongoDB, whether this wizard. And you can see that now this is now SQL Booster for MongoDB. I can, with NoSQL Booster, I can query objects in Polybase demo table in MongoDB. You can see it with SQL query. You can see that the output here is a collection of JSON array. You can see theme projects, etc., etc. But if you are going to SQL Server, you can query the MongoDB using the technique which is called string aggregate. String aggregate means take the JSON object and concatenate them into one string. So select ID name, string aggregate, employees project. So if you go here, you can see that I have JSON object in MongoDB, which is collect name Smith, and here all the objects you can see like an array. So if you're writing a string aggregate employee project from one portal Polybase Dev employee, you can see that it's like a regular table in SQL Server. But under the screen, going to MongoDB, and you will calculate all this MongoDB array. You can see it here. Employee project. The same for employee scores. You can see it here. You have employee scores. So string aggregate employee scores, what I import Polybase demo, group by ID name. So I'm using string aggregate. So if you are using these techniques, you can interact with MongoDB. Why? Because you're taking the array in MongoDB and Flutter in with SQL Server. If you are going to Power BI, you don't have to know MongoDB because in Power BI you only writing your SQL query using the Polybase table in SQL Server. And you can see that the final result that I have SQL Server, I have MongoDB, and I query and I can do a join with SQL Server. Select from HR employee as E, join Polybase person as P, or employee ID. So this is a join between Oracle and MongoDB in SQL Server. And this I can move to Power BI. This is data lake with zero cost money because Polybase is built in SQL Server. And because I have too much time, you can build also MongoDB server dashboard in your organization with Power BI. Why? Because you can create external table in MongoDB of database in MongoDB of database and OS info. You can see it here. Create like external table and build your dashboard for all of MongoDB in your organizations. And it's not the end because I can build also for Postgres. Postgres is now a new competitor for SQL Server. I can build Postgres server dashboard for your organization using Power BI. Again, why? Because I create table in Postgres and I can query them from install ODBC in Power BI report server for MongoDB for Postgres. It's called install the Power BI report server ODBC of Postgres, and then create an external table in Postgres and query them. Query everything on your Power BI server. And thus you have a dashboard. So you can see that it's zero money, zero cost money. I can query everything. But I don't have time. But it's not stop because I can now connect to Hadoop, Cloudera, and queries any file I want, again with Polybase and Power BI. You can see it here. So, any questions? I think I'm out of time, so.
Thank you, Yitzhak, fantastic. Thank you very much. I think this was really a deep dive and you went through a lot of things and focusing on the connection between R and Python and specifically not only focusing on the Power BI service connectivity, but also on the Power BI report server, which might be also a use case for a substantial part of the community. We have two questions.
So this is paginated report. This is paginated report in Power BI report server. Yeah, that's
And we have just two questions to wrap up. One from Diogo, what is the difference between a vector and a list in R?
Okay. If you see in R, a vector, you can put list of values with C. So you see, if you go to examples, there is IDE. This is a vector, very simple. You can see the example. I hope you can see it. You can see this is a vector, C. Okay? C, it's mean a vector. Asia value, Africa value, etc. This is a vector. This is time to region color. List is more complicated structure. We can build 2 dimensions, 3 dimensions, but for this demo, it's enough to know this.
That's like a key value database.
Yeah, key value. Yeah, very simple. Look, it's not complicated language because it's for statisticians, not for programmers. So this is the vector I've created. See, you can see C, and this is the vector key value. Yeah, you're right. And this is assignment. Okay, so list is more complicated, 2 dimensions, 3 dimensions, but it's not the scope of this structure because I don't want to be more complicated with the people. But this is what you need to know. Okay, I didn't see anything with that, but and also I recommend to go to the books. The books I saw at the beginnings. They're fantastic. They are more updated than videos. You can learn about them, but another issue you should know that Python now, I think it's more stronger than R. So you should focus on Python. But if you want to use ggplot, you should know R, and ggplot is amazing. So you should find a balance between.
Yeah, the good library can make a lot of difference for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, you can see. That.
I think currently in data science, at least here in Portugal, Python is better for than R for data science data science projects. As I think now.
but in R there are more packages than the Python, but Python all the time, decrease the gap. Okay, so by the way, all JetGPT, etc., is with Python. So the basic for to use AI JetGPT is Python. This what I show you.
Yitzhak, we have just 2 more questions. Because we are out of time, I will just stop the recording. And if you have 3 more minutes, we can stay just to answer these questions. I want to thank everyone who was here today in the meetup, and to tell you that the next meetup will be on the 28th of March with Miguel Felix. And so we'll have another fantastic meetup in the end of this month. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you in the next one.
I will send you now all the materials so the people